You ever notice how every training plan looks like it was written by someone who's never met an actual human? Because they were. And that's why week 3 is where most people's perfect plan goes to die. Week 1 is hype, week 2 is habit ish. Week 3, well, week 3 is the ambush. And that's when your real life walks in the gym, kicks your spreadsheet in the teeth, and says, "Cute plan, now deal with me." People think they fail the plan. No, the plan fails you because it was never built for you in the first place. And that's the core truth nobody teaching the 12-week shred version 4.0 wants to teach you. The only person who fully knows your goals, your chaos, your physiology, your stress profile, your schedule, your motives, your damage, your stubbornness in your actual life is you. But most plans still pretend your life runs on rails like a Japanese bullet train. It doesn't. It runs like an injured squirrel with commitment issues and blood sugar swings. And that's why we're here. So let's break this whole thing wide open. Everybody loves the fantasy of the perfect plan, the immaculate roadmap, the divine program. If the right set times the right rep times the right tempo prescription is going to override 20 years of stress patterns, identity issues, and a circadian rhythm powered by caffeine and trauma bonding. It's the same psychology as buying a planner on January 1st. You swear this one's going to fix everything because this planner has color tabs. But here's the underlying physiological joke. Every training plan assumes one thing. You are stable. Stable sleep, stable workload, stable nutrition, stable life stress, stable mental bandwidth, stable recovery. You are not stable. Nobody is. Your nervous system responds to stress like a paranoid border guard. Your endocrine system responds to chaos like it's being chased by wolves. Your recovery capacity changes hourly depending on your sleep, your hydration, your arguments, your meetings, your deadlines, and whatever your gut microbiome decided to go today. Yet your training plan is written like you're a lab rat living in a controlled temperature room with zero variables. This is why week 3 is the graveyard. Not week 1, not week 2. Week 3 is when the accumulated mismatch between theoretical you and actual you becomes unignorable. You see, week 1 is chemically rigged in your favor. Dopamine's high, cortisol's manageable, your brain still believes your life will finally calm down because humans have the cognitive memory of a goldfish and the optimism of a delusional golden retriever. You're following the plan perfectly. You're proud. You're posting about it. Of course you are. Week 1 is your illusion. And then week 2 hits. This is where you notice the plan is a little heavier than expected. Not physically, existentially. You start sacrificing sleep, skipping meals, negotiating with your calendar like you're trying to land an international arms treaty. But you push through because momentum is still doing most of the heavy lifting. Not discipline, not identity, momentum. This is also where your physiology quality starts raising its hand like, excuse me, this load doesn't really add up. But you ignore it because the plan says week 2, do these workouts. And surely the plan knows you better than you know your own body, right? And that's when week 3 hits. The collapse hits. Week 3 is reality's eviction notice. Your schedule explodes. Your kid gets sick. You sleep like garbage. Your boss decides meetings are a personality trait. Your energy drops into Earth's mantle and your motivation evaporates. And suddenly one skip workout becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, then guilt kicks in, shame follows. You start telling yourself the accident story of always mess this up. I can't stick to anything. And that self-narrative right there, not the misworkout, the self-narrative is the true beginning of the end. So it's not your fitness collapsing, it's your identity collapsing. And it all happens because the plan assumed you live in a vacuum chamber. You don't. You live in a hurricane. Let's be honest about how most plans are made. You have option 1, an algorithm wrote it, which means it was designed by machine logic, not human chaos. Or you have option 2, a fitness influencer wrote it for a fictional avatar. Usually someone with the genetics of a demigod, the schedule of a monk, and the recovery capacity of a hibernating bear. Or then option 3, a paid coach wrote it, without ever understanding the actual structure of your life. Now, I'm not attacking coaches, I've used them in the past, but let's be real. How many coaches actually know these things about your life? Your chronotype, your job stress cycles, your kid's sports calendar, your spouse's schedule, your travel load, your seasonal mood, your injury history, your menstrual cycle, your recovery bottlenecks, your psychological triggers. Very few. Not because they're bad, but because it's impossible. You're the only one with the access to the full data set of your life. And that's why outsourcing your entire training brain will always put a ceiling on your progress. Week 3 failures are rooted in one thing. Your actions lost connection to your identity. Every plan that lasts, is built on one thing, a why that can survive your worst days. People with strong whys don't quit in week 3, not because they're stronger, but because their quitting violates their self-concept. Their training is not optional, it's who they are. You can have the best biomechanics, best RPM scheme, best periodization, and you'll still fold if your reason for training was I should instead of I must. A plan without identity is a plan without oxygen. So then what's the solution? And it's probably not exactly what you think, because most people think the solution is to find the right plan. Wrong. The right plan does not exist. You don't need a better plan. You need a better feedback loop. Plans don't fail because week 3 is hard. Plans fail because you aren't trained to adapt the plan to you as you change. Your training must be dynamic, self-aware, editable, responsive, rooted in your why, aligned with your physiology, and compatible with your chaos. But you can't do that if you're worshiping the plan like gospel. You have to treat plans like scaffolding, not scripture. So the real skill you have to develop to end up doing this is auto-regulation of your life. Auto-regulation isn't just sets and reps, it's life management. It's observing your stress load, your readiness, your bandwidth, your energy curves, your psychological state, the season of your life, your actual goals. All these shift, adjust, and you need to modify them and recalibrate them. Not quitting, not restarting, not burning it all down because Tuesday didn't go as scripted. This is the same physiology that makes elite athletes consistent because they adjust, they adapt, they improvise inside structure. They're not rigid, they're responsive, and responsiveness is the greatest predictor of long-term success than motivation, genetics, or programming. Week 3 is where you learn whether you're responsive or rigid. Rigid breaks, responsiveness evolves. At the end of all this, you are the only one with the lived-in knowledge required to create a plan that works beyond week 3. Not the influencer, not the algorithm, not the coach, not the trending workout split. You're the only one that knows why you're doing this, what you're willing to sacrifice, what your schedule actually looks like, when your energy breaks, when your motivation collapses, what stresses you out, what brings you back online, what your recovery demands, and how far you're willing to push. Training plans don't fail because people are lazy. Training plans fail because people keep outsourcing their self-knowledge. So how do you survive and how do you build a plan that survives week 3? You build a plan that adapts as fast as life throws punches. The plan isn't the goal, the plan is a compass. The goal is self-governance, the goal is sovereignty. Because when you adjust your training without guilt, when you can correct course without quitting, when you can operate from identity instead of emotion, when you can shape the plan to the day instead of letting the day defeat the plan, you no longer fear week 3. You don't fear schedule changes, you don't fear chaos, you don't fear consistency, you bend and you don't break. If you walk away from this video or most of my recent videos, let it be this. Plans don't make people consistent. Identity does. A strong identity makes a mediocre plan unstoppable. A weak identity makes a perfect plan pointless. That's why the real work isn't finding the right training template, it's forging the person who can adapt it to any template. And that's why week 3 keeps exposing people. Not because they're incapable, but because their plan was never connected to who they are. You cannot outsource your why. You cannot outsource your direction. You cannot outsource your discipline. You cannot outsource your sovereignty. Your plan cannot outrun your self-understanding. Most programs look good on paper. Most plans work for the person it was written for. Most templates have a success story. But none of that matters because your life is not a piece of paper or an Excel spreadsheet or a Google Doc. It's always in motion, it's always unpredictable, it's always chaotic, it's human. And until your training becomes human too, adaptive, personal, sovereign, week 3 will keep winning. But when you finally own your process, when you stop outsourcing your brain, when you stop pretending someone else knows you better than you do, when your training becomes an extension of your identity instead of a checklist, week 3 becomes just another week. And you become the kind of person who doesn't restart. You recalibrate, you adapt, you continue. Because you're not following a plan anymore. You're becoming the person who doesn't need one.